Hey, Ryan here, and I wanted to talk first of all about the fact that I have a Buddha like every other coach seems to have. Fit in the mold. Fit in the mold. I wanted to talk about injuries. Why is there a disconnect between our physical wounds and our emotional wounds? I mean, if I get hurt physically, which I did actually, take a look at this. See? Yeah. Kind of big one. But I mean, what did I do when I got that injury? Well, I know it looks kind of gross, but it's healing, right? It's all scabbed up. There's not redness around it. It's not infected. And it's not infected because I took care of it. You know, when it happened, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to suck, but I'm going to have to go wash it. So I washed it, put a bandage over it, then took the bandage off later, gave it some air. I took care of it. And then let my body do the rest, right? Even though it still ached a bunch, I knew that it was healing, and I knew that, don't poke at it, don't pick at the scab, and if I ignored it, if I didn't clean it, then it could get infected. If it got infected, I could lose my leg, or the infection could get into my bloodstream and go up to my heart and I would die, right? And that's the case of ignoring it. And even what's worse is I could even take some dirt and I could rub it in there, thinking that's going to help. It makes it worse, obviously. But I mean, that's what we end up doing for our emotional wounds though, right? When we get hurt, what do most people end up doing? Well, they try to distract themselves. Start drinking a lot. Get addicted to drugs. Get addicted to sex. Find all these things to distract themselves from the pain of that trauma that's there because they don't want to admit that there was an emotional hurt in the first place, which is BS. But it's basically the same thing as with this injury on my knee. I could distract myself from it. I could go do drugs. I could go drink alcohol. I could do whatever to distract myself from the actual pain. But then when I'm not doing those things and I'm not being distracted and I start sitting there by myself at home when it's quiet, I can't ignore that pain anymore. It's because it's infected. And basically it's the same idea that, if you take some dirt in a cut and you just rub it in there, you're not doing yourself any favors, right? But it's the same thing, again, when it comes to our emotional wounds. When most of us are hurt, a lot of the time we'll get angry, right? We'll get angry and we'll blame others. Screw men, screw my ex, screw women, that crazy bitch feminist, that alt-right guy. There's a bunch of BS. When you get stuck in a cycle of that, it's effectively the same thing as me doing this. Screw my ex. Screw whoever that hurt you. It's the exact same thing. You're taking that dirt and you're rubbing it in the wound. So if you've been hurt in the past, you gotta look at it. You gotta treat it in the same way that you're gonna treat a physical ailment. You have to clean it. But in order to do that, the first thing that you have to do is admit, I got a cut. I've got a cut on my heart and I gotta clean that shit out. No shame in it. Just means that you've been cut. Once you're able to do that, you can clean it. And then even though it's going to ache, you can just give it the time and the attention that it needs to let it heal without taking dirt and rubbing it in there by saying, screw you, screw you, screw you, screw you. That's what I wanted to share today, that we just got to start looking at our emotional wounds in the same way that we do our physical wounds and treating them in the same way with the same kind of care and attention. Thanks. Have a good one. One last look at the Buddha. Look at the Buddha. Look at the Buddha. Look at the Buddha. Look at